This boy got a super rare hidden skill called Mirror World Reversal. With it, he can turn any of his useless skills into something incredible. For example, he turned his Vine Control skill, which had a low chance of immobilizing a target, into Chaotic Thorns that casts thorns on enemies with a high chance to cause confusion. But before he regressed, our MC was already a legendary warrior. After countless battles that left him scarred and exhausted, the hero faces his greatest wound yet, betrayal by his best friend, Luo Wei. In a world transformed by the sudden appearance of dungeons, the mysterious powers gained from these places are known as classes. To conquer the dungeons, people form parties. Luo Wei decides to eliminate his friend, who has surpassed SSS rank, because he believes such power should belong to the royal family for the stability of the empire. With this in mind, Luo Wei uses explosives to kill him. But to our surprise, when Yunche dies, his hidden skill, Mirror World, activates, transferring his soul to a mirrored realm within a lake. Decades later, a group of bullies hangs a boy upside down, beating him and forcing his face into the lake water. The victim's cries for help reach our boy's soul, who hears them from the depths. A boy with glasses tries to intervene, but the leader of the bullies mocks both him and the victim, shifting blame onto the nerd and ridiculing him as well. Suddenly, a dungeon manifests, causing everyone to scatter in fear. The nerdy boy, however, rushes to untie the victim, who is still bound by rope. Dungeon monsters begin to appear, threatening to attack. At that critical moment, the previously drowned victim awakens and unleashes his power, Glacial Impact, against the enemy, a type of ability that helps heal the target. But the system informs him that he can't heal someone who already has full HP. Meanwhile, the bespectacled boy is frustrated that his friend is trying to heal a literal monster. Our protagonist checks his status bar and discovers he has taken over Yunche's frail body, inheriting its weak abilities. He remembers being a top warrior and dying after activating Mirror World, which led his soul into this mysterious realm. The cries of the drowning victim had triggered his revival in this new form. Driven by a desire for revenge, our hero resolves to make use of this second chance. The nerdy boy turns to Yunche for help, but our hero is disheartened to find he has no valuable skills. The previous Yunche was dismissed by everyone as just a chanter. Despite this, Yunche decides to pin his hopes on the Mirror World skill. Curious about how it works, he tries to activate it, but the system tells him he doesn't meet the requirements. He attempts the skill on a goblin, but the level is too low. He then tries it on the goblin's weapon, but receives the same result. Suddenly, a level 10 malformed overlord appears, and a horde of monsters follows close behind. The boy with glasses fears the worst, convinced they're doomed, while our boy still struggles to master the Mirror World skill. At last, Yunche tries activating it on one of his own seemingly useless abilities. To his amazement, he successfully reverses entangling vines into chaotic thorns, causing confusion among the monsters, who start attacking each other. Amid the chaos, the malformed overlord is taken out by another monster. Finally, our protagonist realizes that even his most useless skill can become powerful when reversed. Energized by this discovery, Yunche looks forward to transforming his other abilities as well. Yunche is amazed by the true power of the Mirror World SSS rank hidden skill. Rather than simply reversing a skill, it actually enhances the ability overall. Our boy observes that, in its original form, his skill would have a low success rate and last only 1 second. Now he's eager to see what happens when he reverses his other abilities. He tries it with Empowered Strike, transforming it into Trick Blade, which now boasts a 10% boost in both attack power and duration. With Mirror World, our hero discovers he can amplify the attack power of any skill. As the monsters continue to fall into confusion and defeat each other, he gains a flood of experience points and quickly levels up. Each level up fully restores his MP, giving him more opportunities to experiment. Taking advantage of the chaos, he tests Trick Blade on the still confused monsters. Our protagonist repeatedly uses Mirror World on his skills until his MP drops to 12. Eventually, his Trick Blade achieves a 120% increase in attack power and lasts for 44 seconds. When a giant monster charges at Yunche, he meets it head-on and strikes it with his enhanced ability. Meanwhile, the nerdy boy is left speechless, watching our hero, a mere chanter, battle so many monsters with ease. With Trick Blade, Yunche delivers blows that are 2.3 times stronger than before. Suddenly, the dungeon lord emerges from the ground, towering at level 21. Yet our protagonist stands his ground, attacking the dungeon lord with chaotic thorns. Unfortunately, the lord proves immune to that skill and counters with its massive claws. In a moment of bravery, the nerdy boy steps in to shield him. Seeing this, Yunche is reminded of an old companion from his past life who always acted the same way. The shield, however, doesn't hold for long, and the nerd is sent flying. Instantly, our boy rushes over to heal him and urges the nerdy guy to use a health potion. Formulating a quick strategy, our hero instructs Qiaoji to wait. With only 8 seconds left on Trick Blade, Yunche cuts down more monsters, gaining additional levels and restoring his HP and MP. He reactivates Trick Blade, continues his rampage, and levels up until he finally feels ready to face the Dungeon Lord. Upon reaching level 12, Trick Blade now has an astonishing 510% increase in attack power. Darting in from different angles, Yunche unleashes a relentless assault and ultimately defeats the Dungeon Lord. Chaoji can hardly believe his eyes, stunned to witness a chanter at level 5 bring down a Dungeon Lord. With the Lord's defeat, the dungeon is cleared. As Yunche gathers the dropped loot, Chaoji, still in disbelief, asks how he became so powerful so quickly. In response, our hero inquires if he is related to Chao Benben. Chaoji is shocked that Yunche knows his great-grandfather's nickname. Yunche is taken aback to learn that Chaoji is actually the grandson of Benben. As far as he remembers, however, Luo Wei had eliminated everyone connected to him. Our hero tries to press for more information, but Chaoji, growing frustrated, refuses to answer any further questions since Yunche isn't being forthcoming either. Chaoji then asks why our protagonist has hidden his powers all this time, but quickly shifts the conversation, suggesting they return to school and mentioning an upcoming visit to the memorial hall. Sensing suspicion, our boy decides it's best to keep his identity concealed for now. The mention of the memorial hall intrigues him. It seems like the perfect opportunity to find out what transpired after his death in his previous life. While riding inside a rail bus, Yunche observes that transportation now runs on products derived from dungeons. He is amazed to see so many items from the dungeons being used in everyday life, things he once believed could never exist outside those dangerous realms. Curious, he summons a chimera bone ring from his inventory, and recalls how, in the past, leftover dungeon items would vanish along with the dungeon itself. Clearly, things have changed. At the memorial hall, Yunche comes face to face with a statue of Luo Wei, now celebrated as the hero who ended the dungeon disaster years ago. History records that numerous dungeons appeared at once, including a formidable SSS rank dungeon that caused daily suffering for civilians. Luo Wei, leading an army, conquered these dungeons, while his close friend Luo Che was branded a traitor. Our protagonist seethes at the injustice, remembering that his army was the one responsible for clearing the SSS rank dungeon, yet he remains maligned by history. Meanwhile, the school teacher recounts Luo Wei's hardships in battle, adding that with the help of the famed hero Ding Kun, Luo Wei was able to suppress the rebellion. Yet Yunche has no memory of anyone named Ding Kun. As this unfolds, the leader of the bullies, Ding Shu, appears, surprised to see both Chaoji and our boy alive. His friend quickly speculates that an expert must have been nearby to clear the dungeon. Students gather around Ding Shu, eager to learn about the new dungeon. Ding Shu, however, blames Chaoji for dragging them into trouble. When Chaoji protests, Ding Shu puts him in his place by drawing attention to a statue of Chao En, nicknamed Benben, being stepped on by hero Ding Kun, his own ancestor. Suddenly, Ding Shu angrily yells at Chaoji, accusing him of insulting his ancestor, while other students start gossiping about the traitor Chao En. The school teacher steps in, instructing Chaoji to apologize and reminding him that the hero's family once spared his own. He makes it clear that no one is willing to help a descendant of a traitor. Just as Ding Shu is about to escalate things further, our protagonist steps in and kicks Ding Shu down, protecting Chaoji before any harm can come to him. All the students begin whispering among themselves, shocked that a mere level 5 chanter just knocked down Ding Shu and insulted the hero's family. Incensed, Ding Shu calls Yunche a punching bag and rallies his group to gang up on him. Our boy, however, easily dispatches every one of them with precise punches, including Ding Shu himself. The hero's descendant is left speechless after being taken down so easily, while the other students start gossiping again, now convinced that Ding Shu must be weak. Furious, Ding Shu activates his ability, Rage, and summons his fire-forged hammer. Yet, our protagonist spots an opening and slams him to the floor with a single well-timed blow. The students are left in stunned silence as the memorial hall guard arrives, reminding everyone that fighting is strictly prohibited. The teacher, clearly displeased, scolds our boy for his shamelessness and summons a weapon in an attempt to restore order. Calmly, Yunche breaks the weapon using his chimera bone ring and challenges the teacher to handle things fairly, suggesting he's biased toward Ding Shu's family. Displaying the power of his ring, our hero forces the teacher to agree to investigate the incident properly. Internally, Yunche notes that the ring is just a drop from a level 21 lord, yet it's powerful enough to take on a level 32 teacher. As a consequence, the teacher excuses both Yunche and Chaoji from the memorial hall. Inside, the teacher calls for a healer to tend to Ding Shu. Once outside, our protagonist reflects that, after his own fall, none of his people survived, and Benben was eventually eliminated by Ding Kun. Curious, he asks Chaoji to share the story of the so-called hero, Ding Kun. Chaoji explains that Ding Kun discovered the traitor Yunche's plans and led an army near the SSS rank dungeon, helping to quell the rebellion. Our hero remembers that there was indeed an ambush in the dungeon meant to wipe out his people. Xiaozhi continues, saying Ding Kun was promoted by the king and became a celebrated figure, fighting for years to protect the world from disasters like the Great Cataclysm of Winterland. Yet our protagonist distinctly recalls that he, not Ding Kun, resolved the Winterland crisis. Still, he's curious about Ding Kun's weapon. Xiaozhi tells him about the flowing cloud sword, the blade supposedly used by Ding Kun to execute the villain Yunche. That revelation infuriates our boy even more. Not only were his achievements stolen, but even his sword became part of someone else's legend. Now, with determination burning within him, Yunche resolves to bring down Ding Kun himself. Outside the Ding family compound, guards patrol the grounds, but when they spot Yunche and Xiaozhi, they simply ignore them and move on. Xiaozhi nervously suggests they should turn back, troubled by the number of guards on duty. Our hero, however, recalls that Ding Kun spends most of his resources and time inside a high-level dungeon. In the current era, people can't enter or exit dungeons at will. A special pass is required for entry. Our protagonist assumes the Ding family must possess such a pass. He's curious about the heavy security, and Xiaozhi explains that the Ding family has their own private dungeon on the estate. These days, powerful individuals can buy and sell low-level dungeons, something only the privileged can manage. Xiaozhi adds that Ding Shu levels up quickly by grinding monsters in the family dungeon, while ordinary students can only gain experience from school dungeons. The implication is clear. The richer and more powerful someone is, the higher their level will be. Most regular graduates leave school at levels 15 to 20, and many lose access to dungeons altogether once they graduate. Only those working in dungeon-related jobs can reach the low 30s by middle age. The Ding family's guards are around level 30, and those who surpass that often move on to military or guild positions. Knowing he'll need a pass to get into any dungeon, our boy weighs his options. Xiaozhi again urges caution and suggests leaving, but our protagonist can't stop thinking about confronting Ding Kun and Luo Wei. He observes that the guards can't possibly cover every part of the mansion, and most appear complacent. Deciding this is his chance, our hero vaults over the wall, noting how easy it is to slip past such lax security. Xiaozhi hesitates, but our boy pulls him aside, asking if he truly wants to change his life. Xiaozhi admits he does, though he believes it's only possible if he can join a guild. Yunche insists it's better to act now than to keep waiting for the future, then walks off, leaving Xiaozhi to make his own choice. After a moment's pause, Xiaozhi picks himself up and follows. Spotting an opportunity, our protagonist grabs Xiaozhi, and together they leap into the estate. They successfully reach the entrance to the Ding family's private dungeon. Inside, they encounter monsters ranging from level 6 to 8. Although this dungeon is tougher than the last, it contains fewer monsters. Our hero urges Xiaozhi to face one of the monsters head-on. Though reluctant, Xiaozhi raises his shield as the monsters close in. He struggles at first but manages to hold his ground. Our boy encourages him to fight back, reminding him that he's looking out for him. Finally, Xiaozhi musters the courage to charge and manages to defeat a monster. Our hero observes that Xiaozhi is actually quite talented. His main problem is timidity, which leads him to play defense and panic easily. Still, Xiaozhi's understanding of spatial positioning is impressive, allowing him to avoid taking much damage. Whenever Xiaozhi finds himself overwhelmed, Yunche jumps in to handle the monsters. After the fight, Xiaozhi realizes he's leveled up. Our protagonist explains that experience points are distributed based on contribution. If Xiaozhi doesn't at least throw the monsters back, he won't benefit much, even if Yunche finishes them off. Xiaozhi mentions that he distributes his attribute points evenly, but our boy advises that shield bearers usually focus on agility. Xiaozhi explains his strategy, spreading points evenly in hopes of finding a party at school, since slow-moving shield bearers are often passed over, leaving the monsters to be claimed by others. Our hero explains that advanced class promotions beyond level 60 require specific attribute allocations. For instance, the Bastion Fortress class needs 60 stamina and 90 defense, so random distribution won't work. Xiaozhi doubts he'll ever reach level 60, but Yunche encourages him to aim for beyond S rank. Reflecting on his own progress, our protagonist realizes his support class has returned thanks to the Mirror World skill. Suddenly he discovers that his Mirror World ability itself can be leveled up, opening new possibilities for advancement. Yunche continues eliminating monsters throughout the dungeon. As he moves to attack another, the duration on his trick blade drops to 0, yet he still manages to finish off the foe. The effort leaves him exhausted, reminding our boy that his current body isn't built for prolonged battles. Despite this, he levels up to 17 and gains both attribute points and experience for his Mirror World skill. Spotting Ding family guards approaching, our protagonist quickly jumps up to higher ground to avoid detection. Xiaozhi suggests they retreat since there are now only a few monsters left. Our hero agrees, realizing that keeping track of Trick Blade's boost and duration while dodging guards is too much to handle. He also notes that not every reverse skill is practical in combat situations. Currently, he still needs 30% more experience for Mirror World to level up, and he wonders just how powerful the skill will become once it reaches level 2. Deciding to eliminate the dungeon lord to push his progress, Yunche moves deeper into the dungeon, where detection skills from the guards become more frequent. Eventually, they come across the dungeon lord, chained and under control. For Chaozhi, it's his first time seeing a dungeon lord restrained in this way. Attacking it now would attract too much attention with so many guards present, so our boy opts to take out the guards first. He dons a mask and quickly subdues one of the patrolling guards, who immediately agrees to talk. The guard reveals that a stash of passes can be found in the old master's study room. He insists he's telling the truth, having seen the old master and his guard leave with those passes, which are only for temporary use. Without help, it's nearly impossible for anyone to get through security. Yunche pushes him to empty his inventory, making sure he isn't hiding anything. Once outside, the guard explains that the Ding family's greed leads them to hoard every valuable drop, leaving behind only ordinary items. Our hero manages to pick up a new skill from the guard's skill book. They make their way to the edge of the inner residence, where guards are unnecessary since everyone inside, except Ding Shu, is over level 30. The passes they need are kept within the inner residence, but the family head, who is level 42, is currently inside. The old master and the third head, both above level 50, are away on business. The guard soon collapses, and our protagonist decides to head back into the dungeon alone to lure out the family head. Reaching the chained dungeon lord, he realizes the lord is restrained by high-level chains to keep the dungeon stable. Spotting a lone guard overseeing the mechanism, our hero eliminates him swiftly and obtains the level 60 combat chains. With the dungeon lord now freed and beginning to rise, chaos is about to erupt. Meanwhile, outside, the Ding family head starts sending guards into the dungeon. Confident in the distraction he's created, our boy prepares to enter the inner residence with greater ease. At the entrance of the Ding family compound, the second head of the family, Ding Hao, steps out of his car with Ding Shu by his side. He proceeds to the next vehicle and politely opens the door for Yunsha and her assistant, welcoming them in his formal way. Then, without warning, Ding Hao kicks a nearby guard before leading his guests into the inner palace. Watching from a distance, Chaozhi takes in the scene. Yunsha soon appears and explains that the dungeon lord inside is level 30, making it no easy task to capture alive. Spreading chaos, he tells Chaozhi, was necessary to keep the family head distracted and busy. Chaozhi points out that the guard who just got kicked is actually his uncle. Our boy learns that, in the past, his own family was completely wiped out, sparing them further humiliation. In contrast, the Chao family endured years of disgrace, and under Ding Kun's orders, the bullying only intensified. Eventually, the Chao family became virtual slaves to the Ding family, forced to read their moods and grovel for survival. Chaozhi says that his father's generation tried to resist, but his father lost his sanity, and his uncle became little more than a servant to the Dings. Despite the risks, our hero is determined to enter the inner residence. Chaozhi protests, reminding him that Ding Shu's father, a formidable level 42, is inside. But Yunsha stands firm, insisting that those who fear risk and overthink will never move forward. He tells Chaozhi that if he truly wants to change his fate, he must take action. Chaozhi hesitates, unsure if they can really stand against a family with such power, but our protagonist boldly declares he's willing to fight the entire empire if he has to. Without another word, he leaps into the inner palace. Inside, the second head receives urgent news that the dungeon lord has gone berserk. Yunsha offers to return another day, but Ding Hao reassures her that his elder brother will quickly resolve the situation. He also mentions that the old master and his third brother are on their way to meet her, and that their renowned hero grandpa is eager to see her as well. On the terrace, our boy wonders if this hero grandpa is the infamous hero Ding Kun. He observes that Yunsha shares his surname, guessing her status must be significant. He slips into the study room, searching for passes. Although he finds none, he does come across a diary and several high-quality skill books. Among them, he acquires a new ability, Slowing Aura, which can reduce an enemy's speed by 20%. Outside, Chaozhi sees guards surrounding the inner residence and grows increasingly anxious for our protagonist's safety. He considers escaping, but memories of his family's suffering hold him back. In a surprising act of courage, Chaozhi suddenly shouts to draw the guards' attention, hoping to create a diversion for our hero. Seizing the moment, Yunsha leaps out the window, recognizing Chaozhi's newfound bravery. He shouts loudly, making sure everyone knows he's obtained the chains and skill books. Then, he uses Mirror World to reverse his slowing aura into an accelerating aura. Realizing our hero is heading for the dungeon, Ding Yi quickly orders his guards to pursue. Determined, Yunsha sets his sights on the dungeon lord, intent on leveling up his Mirror World skill. Fortunately, the lord is now at its weakest after the earlier fight with Ding Yi, giving our protagonist the perfect opportunity to strike. Yunsha hears the commotion outside the inner residence, but Ding Hao reassures her that it's merely a thief causing trouble. Meanwhile, inside the dungeon, Ding Yi quickly redirects his guards and rushes forward, ordering the rogues and archers to follow him. However, Yunsha puts his agility and acceleration skills to use, making it difficult for the level 30 archers and rogues to keep up. Our boy soon finds himself face to face with the Dungeon Lord, which is now in a crippled state and bound by a seal. Recognizing the opportunity, he maintains his speed and aims to dispatch the weakened lord with a single decisive blow. As the guards close in, our protagonist unleashes chaotic thorns, causing the guards to turn on one another in confusion. He slips past them with ease, noting their lack of real team battle experience. A fierce fight breaks out between the guards and our hero, continuing until Ding-E finally arrives. Clad in armor and wielding his axe, Ding-E charges at our protagonist. Calmly, Yunche summons the high-level chains. He can't access their full stats yet, but at level 60 they're still formidable. Breaking the seal with the chains, our hero attacks the Dungeon Lord from multiple angles, ultimately eliminating it. With this victory, Yunche reaches level 20, and his Mirror World skill levels up. As Ding-E and his guards close in to capture him, our hero vanishes without a trace. Unexpectedly, he finds himself inside the Mirror World after activating his skill, realizing he has half an hour to make use of this unique space. Yunche quickly notices that everything inside the mirror world appears reversed. At first, he assumes the guards here are mere illusions, but quickly realizes that's not entirely true. When he picks up a mirror shard, he discovers it can be brought back into the real world. Now that his mirror world skill has reached level 2, our boy realizes he can extract anything he obtains from this realm. He checks his stats window and spots a new list of skills. These are the reversed forms of all his abilities. However, he sees that some base skills are still locked, so he isn't able to activate them yet. Planning ahead, our protagonist decides to select powerful skill combinations to optimize his class progression. Suddenly he notices spirits floating through the air, which then transform into undead creatures. Without hesitation, our hero takes down one of the undead, and the system informs him that he can form a contract with it. He realizes that after defeating an undead, he can bring it into the real world, just like the mirror shards he collected. This opens up new possibilities for him. Meanwhile, back in the real world, the dungeon has disappeared. Ding-E and his guards stand by, waiting for any sign of Yunche. They speculate that he might have used a rogue's stealth skill, but one of the rogues dismisses this idea. Frustrated, Ding-E scolds his men for letting the intruder slip away. Unexpectedly, our hero reappears right behind them as the mirror walk timer runs out. Ding-E shouts at his guards to capture him, but our protagonist quickly summons an army of undead creatures. Although everyone panics, one of the guards points out that the undead are only level 20. As Ding-E gives the order to catch him, Yunche has already slipped away. Once outside, our boy notes that his undead summons are still somewhat weak, but he's pleased that he managed to form contracts with the strongest 20 undead creatures available. He also learns that the mirror world has a 200-meter exploration boundary, limiting how far he can move within it. Determined to make the most of this new ability, he decides to explore the mirror world from different locations in the future. Just then, he spots Chaozhi being held by a guard. Acting fast, Yunche takes down the guard and grabs Chaozhi. With the situation under control, our hero heads home, eager to tally up his gains and plan his next move. The Ding family's guards continue battling the undead creatures, and while they find it easy to defeat them, the monsters keep reviving. Soon, Dinge, the third head of the Ding family, arrives and effortlessly eliminates all the undead. He explains that these summoned creatures drain magic points and will disappear if defeated a few more times. Meanwhile, inside the inner residence, Ding Hao bows to the old master in apology. He reports that the intruder escaped through a window. The old master, furious, laments that they don't even know what the intruders look like. Ding Hao tries to lighten the mood by mentioning that Yunsha has agreed to visit the hero's dungeon. The old master, however, instructs him to eliminate the intruders and thoroughly check for anything else that may have been stolen. Elsewhere, Yunsha notes with satisfaction that he now possesses a pass and just needs someone who can get him into the hero's dungeon. Back at Ding Shu's house, our boy has reached level 20, though his Chimera bone ring is nearly ruined. He's managed to collect over 10 skill books, all support chants, but he's already learned the battle song chant, which he can reverse into shield song chant. Planning ahead, our protagonist intends to use these skills to stack his attributes, aiming to match or surpass others of the same level based on stats alone. From the Dungeon Lord's drops, he also obtained the Corrupted Knight's armor. With Mirror World now at level 2, the undead creatures he can summon have noticeably boosted his combat power. Still, this isn't enough for our hero. He knows he needs to reach level 50 and form a contract with an S-rank undead creature if he's going to have any hope of facing someone like Hero Ding Kun. Yunche reassures Chaozhi that the Ding family never saw their faces, so there's little risk of being caught. He then asks if there's a dungeon where a powerful individual has died. Chaozhi, hesitant, admits that the school dungeon fits that description, but warns it's not easy to sneak inside. Our protagonist assures him he has his own ways. Later, at his school teacher's private residence, our boy bribes the teacher with 2 skill books. The teacher says that he can't do much, but the dungeon has recently opened to graduating students. He explains that students can join a team if recommended by a teacher, With the teacher's help, our hero secures permission and soon finds himself at the entrance to the school dungeon. Other students gather, eager to make plans for leveling up. As Yunche surveys the scene, he senses that something isn't right. He learns that the Valiant Dungeon was a gift from the hero to the school. Xiaozhi, uneasy, finally reveals that this is the site where the hero valiantly slew the so-called traitor Chao En. The school teacher warns that the dungeon's level is high and assigns another student, C, to look after the group. C grumbles but follows instructions, telling our protagonist and Xiaozhi to stick to the back. Despite the bustling preparations, our hero can't shake the dangerous feeling he's getting from this level 2040 dungeon. Inside the dungeon, Z immediately recognizes Yunsha and Yunyin. He points out that they're lower grade, then turns his attention to Yunche and Xiaozhi, noting they are also low grade. Boasting, Z claims he feels more energized around girls and wishes Yunsha and Yunyin would stay by his side. One of his teammates reminds him that those two are well above level 30, far out of his league. Unexpectedly, Yunsha and Yunyin walk over to our boy. He instantly identifies Yunsha as the guest he saw at the Ding family estate and wonders why she's come over. Yunsha casually compliments his voice, mentioning she saw him at the memorial hall, then leans in and quietly admits she recognized him yesterday at the Ding family residence. Caught off guard, our protagonist is surprised she was able to recognize him with just a couple of exchanges. After changing equipment, Yunsha and Yunyin move on. This makes our hero realize that Ding Shu might have recognized their voices yesterday as well. Wanting to repay Yunsha and Yunyin for not exposing his identity, our boy quietly warns them to be careful, explaining that this dungeon gives him a dangerous vibe. Yunsha thanks him for the warning, but confidently assures him she's not worried at her current level. Seeing this, Z's group is left stunned and quickly gathers around Yunche, eager for introductions to Yunsha. Our hero brushes off their curiosity and heads further inside the dungeon. Z and his group argue, insisting that Yunche and Xiaozhi should not go off alone. Trying to save face, Z claims he's close to Yunsha, so there's no way he would be a low level. He reminds his teammates that their primary goal is to collect crystals, and suggests they ignore the low-graders, since everyone has a distress flare. Secretly, Z hopes our protagonist will get himself killed for being overconfident. Meanwhile, Ding Shu races toward the dungeon entrance and questions the teacher about the team that just entered. He recalls how his elders dismissed his concerns when he told them it was Yunche and Xiaozhi who broke into the compound. His father thought Ding Shu was still upset about the memorial hall incident, while the family head insisted that the students couldn't possibly escape so many guards. The third head demanded evidence, and the old master dismissed Ding Shu outright. Now desperate to prove himself, Ding Shu grabs hold of a teacher, insisting on being allowed into the dungeon. Yuncha is busy taking down monsters when one suddenly launches a fierce attack. Quick to react, Xiaozhi summons a set of shields around our boy and shouts words of encouragement, boosting his stats in the process. Thanks to this support, our protagonist manages to defeat the monster. As a result, he levels up to 21, while Xiaozhi reaches level 11. The skills Xiaozhi just used are from the Ding family's skill books, making him an effective ally even against tougher enemies. As they press on, our hero remembers a rare monster known as the Obsidian Beast. If he can defeat it, he may acquire the support-type skill, Gravitational Pull, which is already listed in his reversed skills. He's also eager to find the place where a powerful individual once fell in battle. Eventually, they arrive at Crystal Pillar Canyon, home to a group of elite-grade radiant stone beasts. Yuncha observes that these monsters have migrated at least a kilometer, identifying them as a wandering type. Unlike ordinary monsters, these creatures roam freely and possess greater strength. Our protagonist recalls that in the early days, facing this type of monster was nearly suicidal. They would even emerge from dungeons and terrorize humanity. However, defeating them offers higher experience points and better loot than regular foes. The Radiant Stone Beasts are formidable, so Yunche decides to test their abilities first. He quickly discovers that they can heal themselves continuously. When the monsters attack, even Xiaozhi's shield isn't enough. Our boy is wounded, and his speed alone can't help him dodge. Forced to retreat, he summons his undead army for cover and decides to depend on the defense boost from Xiaozhi's recent level up. Later, in a lower-level grinding zone, Xiaozhi steps up to take on some monsters. Our hero observes that most classes hide behind shield bearers for protection. After their time grinding in the Ding family's dungeon, Xiaozhi has invested his points in defense, and combined with the armor they looted, now possesses the core abilities needed for a competent shield bearer. Yuncha coaches him to swing his shield in the direction of incoming attacks. Still learning, Xiaozhi leaves an opening, and a monster slams him into a crystal. Our protagonist immediately jumps in to finish off the monster and advises Xiaozhi to watch for follow-up strikes. He encourages his friend, reminding him to always be mindful of the teammate behind him. Working together, they defeat many monsters, steadily leveling up. Yunche reaches level 22, while Xiaozhi climbs to level 15. Eventually, Xiaozhi learns a new skill from a skill book, Shield Armor, which adds an outer layer to his shield. With this upgrade, Our boy believes they finally have what it takes to take on the wandering-type monsters. Meanwhile, a group of teachers observes the wandering monsters from higher ground. When a student sends a distress signal, the teachers discuss intervening but are wary of the wandering type's presence. One teacher volunteers to stay behind, but Yunche approaches and offers that he and Xiaozhi can monitor the wandering type. He reasons that the distress signal could be related to these creatures and that just 2 teachers wouldn't be enough for a rescue. Trusting his confidence, the teachers agree and warn them not to get too close to the monsters. However, our protagonist is certain these monsters won't be able to escape from him and Xiaozhi. Yunche engages a wandering-type monster, with Xiaozhi providing support from behind. Spotting an opening, our boy swiftly destroys the creature. Despite the victory, he can't help but notice how far he still is from the strength he possessed in his previous life. Even with Mirror World boosting his attack, his support class's base attack remains quite low. After dispatching another monster and collecting the drops, our protagonist levels up and acquires a crystal longsword, which should help compensate for his lacking base attack power. He's a bit disappointed not to find a skill book for gravity pull, realizing that the drop rate for such rare skills must be quite low. Suddenly, a special grade distress signal from a teacher squad lights up the sky. Elsewhere, Lei Li, the blonde teacher, struggles to shield his students in a cramped space as the wandering-type monsters close in. On the other side, numerous students and teachers watch the chaos unfold from behind their shields. Curious about the commotion, Yunche asks what's happening. A teacher explains that they followed the distress signal to a cave where several people are now trapped. He requests Yunche's assistance, and she quickly uses her skills to boost the group. Together with Yun Yin, she takes down a wandering-type monster with ease. Observing from a distance, our hero notes the impressive skills and equipment Yunche and Yun Yin possess. Driven by curiosity about the situation inside the cave, he instructs Xiaozhi to remain with the others while he investigates further. Entering the mirror world, Yunche discovers he can now access this realm at will, something he couldn't do after the incident with the Ding family. Inside the mirror world, he observes that people have reflections while monsters do not, and he spots the corpse of a monster, confirming he's the only one physically present in this dimension. Venturing into the cave, our protagonist finds Z and his group, leading him to suspect they were the ones who triggered the wandering types to gather in this area. Intrigued, he pushes deeper into the cave, searching for the root cause of the disturbance, until he finally stumbles upon something unusual. Our hero soon discovers why Z and the others ventured into the cave: the presence of special crystal ore. Unlike ordinary crystals found outside, these ores possess far greater value. They're used to craft advanced gear and unique items, making them even more precious than gold. When Yunche picks up a mirror crystal ore, he realizes that as long as he can find a mirror surface, he can return to the real world from the mirror world. Deciding to explore further, our boy notes that a haul of this ore could make someone a billionaire. Meanwhile, in the real world, Yunche and Yun Yin fight their way to the cave, defeating the wandering-type monsters to clear a path for rescue. Upon reaching the trapped group, they warn everyone to stay alert, as they'll have to continue fighting to escape. Before they can regroup, however, even more wandering types move in and surround them. Back in the mirror world, Yunche stumbles upon a crystal core, a rare treasure that takes ages to form, representing the crystallized essence of all the special products within the dungeon. Knowing its worth, our protagonist quickly collects it. Using the crystal core will boost his stamina and mana recovery, but what impresses him most is the 20% light and electric damage reduction it grants, a percent-based reduction that's rare even among top-tier gear. This makes our hero cautious, suspecting that just like the crystal ore, acquiring such a hidden treasure will likely attract a far stronger monster. He decides to use the crystal core before leaving, but discovers that doing so will consume 10 minutes of his mirror walk time. Meanwhile, in the real world, a massive monster suddenly appears. Some students believe it's a wandering type lord. Others think it might be the hidden boss of the dungeon. The wandering lord emerges, a rare hidden boss, even stronger than a dungeon lord, and beyond the capabilities of any teacher present. Students and teachers huddle behind their shields, but panic spreads as surrounding wandering types launch relentless attacks. Yunche tries to calm everyone, suggesting they might escape through the canyon ahead. She activates a buff, and Lei Li takes the lead, guiding the group forward as they move their shields and fight off monsters. Unfortunately, the Wandering Lord unleashes its battle cry, Rally, summoning even more wandering types from deep within the dungeon. It then casts a powerful buff, boosting the stats of its minions. The monsters become even more formidable, and one teacher is quickly eliminated in the chaos. Amid the struggle, Yunche instructs the shield guards and healers to support each other. Unexpectedly, a teacher in a cloak panics and tries to escape alone, darting through the monsters. Lei Li quickly stops the rogues from following, warning that their stealth skills won't last long enough to make it through. Tragically, the Wandering Lord launches a devastating attack, and the cloaked teacher is eliminated. To make matters worse, the canyon ahead collapses, plunging the students into despair. As the Wandering Lord prepares a second massive attack, Yunsha and Yunyin summon their ultimate shields. Together, they manage to block the blow, but the shields are stationary. They can't be moved or re-equipped, so they're only buying precious time. C voices his confusion, wondering why a Wandering Lord would appear in a school dungeon, while another student blames himself for triggering the disaster. Meanwhile, Layli is relieved to see that the students who volunteered to observe the wandering types are presumed safe, until he suddenly spots Chaoji among the group, leaving him stunned. As the shields begin to shatter, Lei Li is nearly struck by an attacking monster. Chaoji steps up, summoning his shield just in time to save him, and continues to cover Lei Li against another incoming blow. Eventually, all the shields, including Chaoji's armor, break apart, and the monsters close in for the kill. Just as the situation grows desperate, Yunche arrives and swiftly dispatches the attacking monsters. He praises Chaoju for his bravery and calmly assures everyone that he'll handle things from here. While in the mirror world, Yunche realized that the original crystal core still existed in the real world, meaning he could double his gains by collecting both versions. However, extracting a single crystal would consume 10 minutes of mirror walk time. Prioritizing, our boy grabbed the most valuable core and used it to power up his stats. Suddenly, a sense of danger washed over him. Deciding not to risk it further, he quickly returned and discovered he could freely enter and exit the mirror world as long as his mirror walk time wasn't depleted. Exiting the cave and re-entering the real world, Yunche was met with the sight of a massive horde of wandering types and the imposing Wandering Lord. Without hesitation, our protagonist rushed to reach Chaoju and the other students. He skillfully dodged a monster by slipping in and out of the mirror world. At this moment, our hero was level 24, with a total magic of 140 and a recovery rate of 2.6 per second. His attack power was also on the rise. Even so, the Wandering Lord remained a formidable threat. Upon reaching the students through the mirror world, Yunche reappeared in front of them and immediately began clearing out monsters. After praising Chaoju, he continued to dart between realities, striking down enemies with each entry and exit. To handle the relentless tide of wandering types, he called for buffs from Yunsha and Chaoju, who quickly obliged. There seemed to be no end to the monsters, but thanks to the crystal core, our hero felt confident he could hold out. However, when he unleashed chaotic thorns, he found the monsters were immune. All around, teachers and students watched in disbelief as Yunche displayed his incredible power. Each monster he defeated brought even more experience, and he quickly leveled up again, realizing just how rapidly he could grow in this fight. Yunsha, stunned by his strength, couldn't believe this was the same person she'd once dismissed as a mere thief. Switching deftly between the mirror world and reality, our protagonist eliminated monster after monster, pushing his level up to 28. Lei Li tried to reassure the others by saying Yunche was just a student, but it was impossible to ignore his talent. Unfortunately, the Wandering Lord launched another devastating attack. Our hero narrowly dodged, knowing that a direct hit would be fatal. The Lord's movement threatened the last two shield barriers. If it got any closer, even those would crumble. Sensing the urgency, Lei Li urged everyone to break through while there were fewer monsters. Yet students and teachers hesitated, worried that moving the shields would only expose them to danger. Stepping forward, Yunche offered a solution. He would draw the Wandering Lord's attention, giving everyone else a chance to escape. Lei Li voiced his concern, but our boy knew that leaving the Wandering Lord unchecked would only lead to greater disaster, as it would gather even more monsters and eventually reach the outside world. With resolve, Yunche made up his mind. He was going to eliminate the Wandering Lord. With Yunche drawing the attention of the Wandering Lord, the teachers and students seized the opportunity to escape. Lei Li's plan is for everyone to get away quickly, hoping that our boy will be able to slip out as well. Meanwhile, Chaoju, feeling helpless, worries about the fate of our hero. As the battle rages on, Yunche levels up by striking the Wandering Lord from different angles. When the Lord retaliates with a powerful attack, our protagonist ducks into the mirror world, then emerges to land another hit. He soon notices, however, that the Wandering Lord heals instantly after every blow. Realizing he needs a new strategy, he decides to target the crystal embedded in the Lord's head. The buffs he received earlier begin to fade, and he knows his MP won't sustain Trick Blade for much longer. Determined to recover quickly, he pushes himself to level up as fast as possible. Unfortunately, the Wandering Lord starts to anticipate his moves, tracking him even as he shifts in and out of the mirror world. During a massive, continuous attack, our boy takes a heavy hit and is injured. He recognizes that relying on the mirror world is risky, as his time there is running low, and summoning undead creatures isn't an option either since they also drain his MP. Suddenly, a massive shield materializes, summoned by Yunsha. Our protagonist is stunned to see her, Chaoju, and Yunyin rushing in to help him. While they urge him to retreat, Yunche is resolved to finish the battle with their support. With their aid, he fights through more monsters and reaches level 30. At last, he acquires the coveted skill book for gravitational pull. Donning his armor, our hero reverses gravitational pull into gravitational draw, giving him the ability to pull himself toward the Wandering Lord in an instant. With his Trick Blade's attack power amplified, he uses gravitational draw to close the gap and targets the Lord's head crystal. The Wandering Lord unleashes another devastating area attack, but Yunche braces for impact and manages to shatter the crystal. With the crystal destroyed, the Wandering Lord is finally eliminated. Our boy earns 5,000 EXP and claims the title of Wandering Slayer. As a reward, he also receives 2 skill books, Golden Light Barrier and Angel's Blessing. Our protagonist's performance leaves everyone stunned as he reaches level 33. Before Yunche can even explain the drop items, the Wandering Lord's massive body begins to collapse, creating chaos all around. In the midst of this, our boy notices a hollow mountain nearby. Venturing inside, he finds the remains of both humans and wandering breeds, and quickly realizes that this place once gave birth to an even stronger Wandering Lord. Unexpectedly, he stumbles upon the body of Chao En, known as Benben. Yunche approaches, remarking that the scene is the complete opposite of the heroic statue in the memorial hall. She notes that what they see here is the aftermath of countless battles with both monsters and people. Chaoji arrives, quietly insisting his great-grandfather was not an evil man. He shares that he spent years researching Chao En's life, though most of what he uncovered is vague. Still, he discovered that his great-grandfather often entered dungeons beyond his level, including this very one, a known breeding ground for wandering lords. Chaoji explains that back then, officials lacked the military strength to handle such threats, so they depended on powerful individuals to clear dungeons regularly. His great-grandfather was one of those elite few. Although his family thinks he's just seeking comfort, Chaoji has never stopped looking for the truth. Hearing this, our hero gives him a reassuring pat, letting him know he believes him. Yunche recalls that Benben was far from evil. He was always determined to grow stronger, unafraid to ask for help or even argue with his master. Ultimately, Benben met his end fighting an overwhelming horde of monsters. Filled with resolve, our protagonist silently vows to take revenge on the Ding family for Benben's sake. Meanwhile, back at the Ding family estate, Ding Shu reports that students are returning from the dungeon, singing Yunche's praises for defeating a hidden level 40 boss. The third head of the Ding family immediately rises, orders his guards to assemble, and commands them to bring in the members of the Chao family. Yunche hands the skill book Golden Light Barrier to Chaoji, explaining that he can't learn a skill designed for shield bearers. According to Yunche, our boy certainly doesn't lack for powerful abilities. Despite her own impressive skills, she admits that even she can't keep up with him. She points out his vanishing act and his unique ability to summon undead creatures, making our protagonist realize that his undead summons are transformed souls. This sparks the thought that there could be other souls in the mirror world besides his own. Curious, Yunche enters the mirror world, which refreshes with his arrival. He spots the soul of Benben and wonders if it's possible to interact with or even utilize it. Back in the real world, Yunche remembers she has an important ceremony to attend, so she and her assistant take their leave. Inside the mirror world, our hero attempts to communicate with Benben, but receives no response. Suddenly, Benben's soul lets out a roar and conjures a dark wall around Yunche. Scenes from Benben's life play out on the wall, showing Ding Kun ultimately striking him down. The wall shatters and Benben's soul attacks, driven purely by battle instincts. Realizing that conversation is impossible, our protagonist attempts to exit the mirror world, only to find he can't leave from this area. Left with no choice, he prepares to face Benben's soul head-on. Meanwhile, in the real world, the third head of the Ding family, Ding Ge, approaches Chaoji with Ding Shu and several guards in tow. Ding Ge demands to know the whereabouts of Yunche, while Chaoji tries to play it cool, nervously asking if they're there for training. Ding Ge ignores the deflection, revealing that they know Chaoji and our boy snuck into the Ding residence. Ding Shu adds that he recognized their voices, and Ding Ge ominously mentions he has a gift prepared for Chaoji. Ding Ge gives a signal, prompting members of the Chao family, including Chaoji's mother, grandfather, and several close relatives, to step forward. Chaoji's grandfather immediately demands that he kneel and apologize to the Ding family, but Chaoji refuses, insisting he won't let his family be treated like dogs by the Ding family for generations. His uncle, however, drops to his knees, declaring that for the descendants of a supposed great sinner, it's already a blessing to be allowed to serve in such a lowly way. Chaoji's aunt appeals to him, reminding him to consider his mother, who has suffered so much since her husband went insane. But Chaoji stands firm, insisting that they should look at the body of his great-grandfather, who fought to avert disaster and sacrificed himself after being swarmed by monsters. He pleads for his family to believe the evidence before them, evidence that contradicts the Ding family's propaganda. Chaoji believes that once the truth is revealed, they no longer have to live in humiliation. He even states that, according to the Ding family's logic, his grandfather's family, his uncle-in-law, and his second uncle's family should die because of this supposed crime. Ding Ge laughs mockingly, admitting that what Chaoji says is true. Ding Kun did indeed rise to power by ambushing Chao En, but, he sneers, none of it matters. Qiao En was branded an imperial traitor, and no one cares if Qiao Ji's father went mad or if other family members died. He tells Qiao Zhu that the entire Qiao family already knows this fact and orders them all to kneel. Reluctantly, Qiao Zhu's mother kneels, weeping as she begs her son to give in and admit fault. She can't bear any more suffering after her husband's breakdown. But Qiao Ji remembers her words from his childhood, telling him not to listen to what others say. As Ding Shu loses his patience and moves to kick Qiao Ji into submission, Qiao Ji abruptly grabs his leg and slams him to the ground, declaring his determination never to kneel. When Ding Shu summons his hammer in anger, Qiao Ji counters with his shield and shouts for all to hear that the Qiao family are descendants of heroes. Qiao Ji lands a powerful punch on Ding Shu, catching the attention of Ding Ge, who grows increasingly curious. Ding Shu, meanwhile, can't believe how his former punching bag has suddenly become so strong and rushes at Qiao Ji in frustration. This time, Qiao Ji easily blocks every attack and knocks Ding Shu to the ground with a solid hit. Meanwhile, in the mirror world, Yunche is locked in a fierce battle with Ben Ben. He realizes that he's witnessing Ben Ben's full power, and the gap between them is immense. If Ben Ben weren't a defensive class and lacked self-awareness, our boy would be in real trouble. Fortunately, all of Ben Ben's combat techniques were originally taught by Yunche himself, so he's familiar with their weaknesses. Still, our hero struggles, finding that even Trick Blade has little effect on Ben Ben. The situation worsens when Ben Ben summons his Golden Light Barrier, a move that really concerns our protagonist. Back in the real world, Ding Shu retaliates with his Molten Mountain Chaotic Hammer. Qiao Ji stands firm, blocking the attack and countering with a series of blows that leave Ding Shu reeling on the ground. As Ding Shu takes hit after hit, the third family head summons his own claw weapon, ready to take matters into his own hands. Unexpectedly, he finds Qiao Zhu protected by the Golden Light Barrier. Inside the barrier, Qiao Zhu holds Ding Shu, continuing his assault and calling the Ding family cowards. In the mirror world, our protagonist is desperately attacking the Golden Light Barrier. He knows that the barrier can withstand at least 10 hits, provided none of them deals more than double its tolerance. Once its energy is depleted, any 10 attacks can break it. In the real world, the third family head eventually manages to destroy the barrier. As the dust settles, Qiao Zhu declares that if his great-grandfather were present, the Ding family would be the ones begging for mercy. Enraged, Ding Ge uses a skill that forces Qiao Ji to let go of Ding Shu, then unleashes Gravity Smash, which splits the ground and leaves Qiao Ji severely injured. Ding Ge advances, preparing to sever Qiao Zhu's legs with his axe. At that moment, Qiao Ji's mother intervenes, pleading for her son's life and offering to kneel and accept any punishment in his place. Ding Ge offers Qiao Zhu a choice, but quickly loses patience and turns his fury on Qiao Ji's mother, intent on harming her. Suddenly, Ben Ben's undead soul appears before everyone, stunning the entire Qiao family and their captors. Yunche, watching from the mirror world, explains that Ben Ben has returned from hell to settle the score. Before everyone's eyes, undead Ben Ben stands tall. The third head of the Ding family immediately orders his men to subdue him. The Ding family guards rush in, but Ben Ben activates Iron Armor, Shield Armor, Guardian's Aura, and Group Shield all at once. Their combined assault is effortlessly repelled, and the guards are hit back instead. Qiao Chi's grandfather is left speechless by Ben Ben's strength, while Qiao Ji admires how he can withstand attacks from so many opponents at once. Turning to face Yunche, Ding Ge declares that he knows Ben Ben is just an undead summon, having already seen our hero's undead army at his own home. He mocks Ben Ben for being only level 33, calling him trash, and launches a relentless series of attacks using his semen adhesion skill. Ben Ben, however, counters every move. Growing frustrated, Ding Ge breaks through Ben Ben's defense with a red aura and unleashes Summon God Crash, but Ben Ben blocks it with his Golden Light Barrier. The third head acknowledges the barrier's power and orders his men to break it, only to discover they're all preoccupied battling the undead skeletons. Furious, he tries Charge Pressure Punch on our boy, but the attack has no effect. Shocked, Ding Ge switches to Rending Claw, but our protagonist vanishes, only to reappear above and strike down, leaving Ding Ge badly wounded. Bleeding and enraged, the third head roars, but Yunche easily dodges. Ben Ben lifts his sword, giving our hero a platform to jump from and launch an even swifter attack. With one clean strike, he severs Ding Ge's arm. When Ding Ge calls for his priest, he discovers all his men have been eliminated by the undead. Our hero mocks him, explaining that with the legendary skill buff, his undead creatures are now far stronger than anything Ding Ge's guards can handle. Desperate to escape, the third family head tries to flee, only to be blocked by Ben Ben's raised swords. Yunche calmly reveals this is the Sword Shield Absolute Formation. No one below S-Class has ever escaped it. In a last-ditch effort, Ding Ge pulls out a Void Bomb, an S-Class weapon inherited from his grandfather, and threatens to detonate it. Unfazed, our protagonist tells him to go ahead. Ding Ge hesitates, and Yunche quickly cuts off his other arm, sending the bomb tumbling to the ground. With no options left, Yunche orders him to kneel, and Ding Ge hopelessly complies. Qiao Zhu can't help but smile at the sight, while Ding Shu cries quietly in the background. Our protagonist steps onto Dingge's back, points his sword at the man's neck, and demands to know what he's worth now. Yuncha checks his inventory and finds hundreds of health potions, each capable of restoring 100 HP over 10 seconds. However, our hero quickly realizes that even using all these potions wouldn't be enough to fully heal the badly injured Benben. Quietly, he decides that Benben must die and be resurrected once again, allowing him to return stronger than before. After finishing Benben off, his soul appears in the mirror world, and Yunche smoothly recruits him as an advanced undead. He notes that by defeating formidable foes, he can continue expanding his roster of powerful undead, and decides to keep Ding Shu alive for potential future use. Chaoji's grandfather watches our protagonist in awe, amazed at how someone so young could be so powerful. He's convinced Yunche must be the one who helped Chaoji become stronger. Meanwhile, Chaoji's uncle concludes that the hero who killed their grandfather decades ago must now be even more formidable. Our boy agrees internally, reminding himself that he must become even stronger to eventually face Ding Kun. Suddenly, he realizes his undead soldiers have leveled up. Sending them out to battle was the right move. Now, with their enhanced strength and new equipment, they're nearly unstoppable. Seeing that this dungeon no longer offers enough experience, Yunche orders his undead to defeat the dungeon lord. By doing so, the dungeon will disappear, providing cover for the Chao family to escape unnoticed. Soon, his undead successfully take down the dungeon lord, and the dungeon begins to vanish. Turning to the Chao family, our boy reassures them that the ensuing chaos will delay the Ding family's response to the third head's death. He advises them to flee immediately and promises to handle any pursuers. Our protagonist knows he needs to defeat more dungeon lords to reach Mirror World Level 3. The last upgrade made him significantly stronger, and he's confident that reaching the next level will put him on par with, or even above, Ding Kun. Later, at the entrance to a wealthy man's private dungeon, a guard boasts that nobody would dare trespass, unaware that Yunche has already slipped past. Inside, our hero notes how poorly protected these types of dungeons are and proceeds to clear several more, steadily leveling up. Soon, rumors spread about a mysterious dungeon destroyer. Chaoji's grandfather wonders if this could be Yunche, worrying that people will eventually connect these incidents to the dungeon they previously entered, which could lead the Ding family back to our protagonist. He realizes Yunche cleared the dungeons to help the Chao family escape. Now hiding far from the Ding family estate, the Chao family finally feels a sense of relief, until Ding Hao, the second head of the Ding family, shatters the wall of their hideout with his unmatched descent skill. He calls them traitors, and warns that Yunche's location has been discovered. Meanwhile, outside the hero dungeon, our boy, now at level 42 with Mirror World leveled up to 3, stands ready, declaring that he's come for Ding Kun. Standing before the hero's dungeon, Yunche reflects on how all the private dungeons he cleared were only around level 30, far too weak to provide any real challenge or growth. The stronger dungeons, like this one, are controlled by the state, heavily guarded by the military, and off-limits to anyone within a 2-kilometer radius. Normally, our boy would rely on his Mirror World skill, but with a range of only 20 meters, it isn't enough to bypass such strict security. Instead, he decides to turn to Yunsha for help. When she arrives, Yunsha demands to know why he's asked for her assistance entering the dungeon. She admits she can't get in without a pass either. Our protagonist hands her several temporary passes he'd stolen from the Ding family estate. She points out that every pass requires someone to accompany the holder through inspection, and presses him about why he's so desperate to enter. Yunsha explains that after seeing Benben's fate in the so-called Traitor's Dungeon, he suspects there's something wrong with the story the heroes have spread about the rebellion. He's decided to help the Chao family uncover the truth. Yunsha argues that he has no ties to the Chao family, so risking conflict with the hero's family makes no sense. She accuses him of lying, noting that he stole the passes before knowing anything about Ben. She mentions that Dingge led a group into the Traitor's Dungeon for revenge but disappeared along with the dungeon, and suspects our hero harbors a grudge against the heroes. Growing curious, Yunsha asks if our boy is related to the traitor Yunche, given the similarity in their names. He jokes that she also shares the same surname, to which she responds that she changed hers to avoid trouble. He teases her again, suggesting she's making assumptions about his real surname. Annoyed, she threatens to report him to the army, but Yunche knows she won't. He believes Yunsha is a genuinely good person, a selfless individual who risked her life to save others. To earn her trust, he hands her the diary he took from the Ding family, which exposes the crimes of the hero's descendants. Yunsha, surprised, questions why he trusts her so easily and warns him that he shouldn't trust others so blindly. Our hero insists that even if he's been betrayed before, it won't stop him from trusting people, and assures her she's not an evil person. Flustered, Yunsha tells him to follow her only up until the moment she betrays him. At the entrance to the hero's dungeon, a guard greets Yunsha and informs her that the heroes are waiting inside. He's puzzled that she didn't arrive with Dingdan and becomes suspicious of the hooded figure, Yunche, at her side. The guard explains that security is tight, especially since the Ding family reported their temporary passes as stolen. and insists on checking her personal guard. In response, Yunsha grabs Yunche's face and challenges the guards, asking if they'd like to check her as well, in case she's been swapped too. The guards, intimidated by her status, quickly back off and allow them to pass. Once inside, our protagonist realizes Yunsha's influence is far greater than he'd imagined. She makes it clear she won't interfere further and doesn't care what he does from here on out. Grateful, our boy thanks her and summons an undead in a cloak, instructing her to leave with it for her own safety. After Yunsha departs, Yunsha enters the mirror world, eager to test the new ability he unlocked at level 3. Yunsha activates his level 3 mirror world, skillfully copying monsters from the real world to deploy them within the mirror realm. With this ability, he can easily duplicate creatures and farm them in the mirror world without fear of being discovered. Moreover, even after leaving the mirror world, our hero's undead creatures remain behind, continuing to grind levels on his behalf. Inside the hero's dungeon, the Ding family is constructing a city, which serves as the base from where our boy plans to investigate further. He already learned from the Ding family diary that Ding Kun can be found there. Unfortunately, our protagonist knows little about this figure, only that Ding Kun reached S rank decades ago and has not displayed his power publicly. Yunsha believes that gathering more information will give him the confidence to deal with Ding Kun. He recalls that in his previous life, he knew every S rank, yet Ding Kun seemed to appear out of nowhere. Hoping for more insight, he tries to question Benben, but receives no response. Realizing that communication is still impossible, our hero recalls that when the mirror world leveled up, the intelligence of his undead creatures increased, with Benben showing the most noticeable improvement, though not enough for full communication. He can only hope that further upgrades will help Benben regain more consciousness. Meanwhile, in the Dungeon City Castle, Ding Dan yells at his father, accusing him of always favoring the third son. According to the Security Bureau's report, that son remains missing. The hero of the Empire, Ding Kun, sits in his armor but rises at his son's outburst, stating that the criminal must have reached S rank and advising him to take immediate action. Unexpectedly, Kun pierces his hand into Dan, mocking him for being unable to even keep track of his own son. He derides him for being an S rank who cannot withstand a single blow, and declares that the only reason he kept Dan alive was to watch over his grandson. Now, however, Dan must clean up his own mess. Kun also warns him that losing a blood relative costs several years of his life. Outside the castle, Ding Yan, a descendant of the hero, sits bound with belts atop the back of a giant man. Yan watches with amusement as humans and wolves fight one another for food. His aide Nans appears and mentions that Yan's master's pet has not eaten meat in days. At that moment, our protagonist observes them from a distance, noting that the Ding family here seems much more restrained compared to those outside. As he debates whether to reveal himself, Benben begins to struggle, attempting to say something. Yunsha realizes that even in this state, Benben wants to help others. He remembers that, among those from the disaster zone, Benben and Lan Qian were the kindest and strongest, which is why he accepted them as his students. Now, however, he feels regretful, believing it is his fault that Benben ended up like this. After a few minutes, Benben starts muttering names, making our boy believe that Benben has regained some consciousness. Benben then says that Lian Qian is Ding Kun, causing Yunsha's eyes to widen in disbelief. Meanwhile, in the castle, Ding Kun wipes his son's blood from his armor, muttering our protagonist's name. He hadn't expected to hear that name after so many years, but now he feels both excited and curious to discover who is impersonating his master. Yan cares deeply for his pet ogres, but as he becomes absorbed in tending to other pets, the ogres begin to starve. In a manic moment, Yan points frantically toward the helpless humans lying ahead, commanding his ogres to devour them all. As the carnage nears a child, Yunsha arrives just in time and eliminates the threat instantly. He still struggles to accept that Ding Kun is actually Lan Qian. Meanwhile, Yan hides behind his assassin, wary of the sudden turn. Although our boy is furious to learn that Ding Kun and his student are the same person, he recalls the past, when he explained to both his disciples that the age of knights had ended, yet as a descendant of knights, he intended to pass down something meaningful. Under his guidance, he ensured his students became stronger than ordinary professionals. He instructed them to remember a few key principles if they wished to train under him. The first was humility, a reminder that they were no different from others and should always remain polite and respectful. He scolded them for disrespect and even provided them with skill books to encourage growth. Returning to the present, our protagonist gives Yan and Nans a hard time, even breaking the assassin's level 30 legendary equipment. Despite this, Yan continues to mock, prompting Yunsha to recall the second lesson, showing mercy. He emphasized treating the weak kindly and using compassion to counter violence and wrongdoing. Our hero had once rescued both students from a slave auction, believing that those who have suffered would understand others' helplessness. Now, as he strikes at the illusions of Yan and Nans, Yan brazenly claims there are plenty more for him to face, even taunting that perhaps our boy's family is among those behind them. In response, Yunche boosts his attack power through his system and uses Mirror World to locate the real Yan and Nans. Once he finds them, he attacks directly. He recalls the third principle, bravery. In fighting dungeon battles, one must stand for justice. Seeing our protagonist's strength, Yan decides to retreat, leaving Nans to face him alone. Nans uses his ability to strike Yunche, but cannot find him at the crucial moment. Suddenly, our hero appears from behind and strikes, then unleashes a special skill. The fourth lesson comes to mind, the spirit of sacrifice. Meanwhile, Benben drags Yan away, bringing him to his master. Although Yan shouts that he is the hero's grandson, he's left speechless when he sees his assassin transformed into a puppet of our protagonist. At this moment, our boy remembers the remaining lessons: honesty, justice, honor, and soul. After defeating Yan, Yunche stands atop the castle wall, witnessing countless humans strung up as prisoners. He realizes that Lan Qian has not only abandoned his teachings, but has even turned his blade against his master. Furious, our protagonist demands to know why Lan Qian has led his descendants to such evil. Suddenly, Qian appears behind him and delivers a powerful blow, sending Yunche flying through several walls. However, he recovers quickly, using his skills to heal and amplify his attack power. As Qian approaches, our hero retaliates by sending his mirrors to strike, then confronts him directly, demanding an explanation for his betrayal. Qian's armor shatters after taking a blow from Yunche, revealing his face at last. Our boy's body trembles as he realizes that his student is, in fact, Ding Kun. He demands to know why Qian betrayed his master, but Qian simply remarks that he recognizes his old name. As Qian moves into attack, he wonders aloud if Yunche was sent by their master. After deftly dodging Qian's assaults, our protagonist counters with a strike from behind, repeating his question. Yet, Qian insists he's nothing but a tool dispatched by his master, and he slams the ground, tearing it apart. Curious to see if any recognition remains, our hero sends Benben forward. Qian slams Benben into the ground, surprised at his survival, but after another brutal blow, he realizes Benben is just an undead. Even in resurrection, little intellect remains. At that moment, Qian's three sons emerge, brandishing weapons to support their father. In response, our boy summons his undead army, with Ding Ge among them. The sight brings Qian to tears briefly, but excitement soon overtakes him as his interest in Yunche grows. Observing our protagonist reviving others, Qian demands that he prove whether he is truly his master. Raising his MP and attack power, Yunche recalls the days when Qian, once locked in a cage, used to help others, so different from who he is now. Unexpectedly, Qian claims that everything he has become is because of his master. Our hero reminds him that he rescued him from slavery and helped him become a powerful professional. But Qian, instead of gratitude, questions why he was saved so late, and why, as just the son of a knight, he couldn't live as comfortably as Benben. He shouts, asking why Benben, who did nothing, enjoyed such favor. Perhaps, he suggests bitterly, because Benben was simply born cleaner. Qian murmurs, questioning why his master made him a berserker, wondering if his timid nature forced him into the role. Our protagonist firmly denies ever having favorites, reminding Qian that he always acted as if he wanted to become braver. This only fuels Qian's resentment, as he concludes that his master prefers people like Benben. He confesses that he tried to be brave but never felt favored, always believing his master looked down on his origins. Admitting he cannot live by the virtues of knights, Qian asserts that status and power determine one's treatment. Saving others holds no value for him, and he claims there is no betrayal. His master chose Benben, and he chose a different path. He reveals that Luo Wei granted him a higher status, highlighting the stark contrast between his descendants' lives and Benben's. With a mocking laugh, he points out the current positions of both his master and Luo Wei. Furious, our boy attacks with his mirrors, striking from every direction. As Qian's armor is completely destroyed, Yunche coldly declares that he isn't even worthy of Benben's toes. Qian's armor shatters completely, yet he bursts into amused laughter. Suddenly, he boosts his attack power by 300% and his speed by 200%. As he leaps toward Yunche, he mocks him as a hypocrite, activating the Rampage. Berserker exclusive skill, Qian's speed becomes almost impossible to follow, forcing our boy to rely on Mirror World to hide and dodge. After Qian's strike, our hero reappears, making Qian realize that he's using mirrors to travel and evade attacks. In response, Qian unleashes his Berserker exclusive skill, Bloodstorm, aiming to shatter all the mirrors and cut off our boy's means of escape. As the Bloodstorm rages, our protagonist's HP drops rapidly. Qian then activates Berserker's body, sneering that his master only talks about virtue when it's safe to do so. Just as he prepares to strike, he mocks our protagonist for preaching compassion despite living comfortably. Using Blood Rage Explosion Blade, Qian slams Yunche hard into the debris, causing his HP to plummet. Qian laughs, pointing out that without any mirrors, our boy can't run any longer. Despite the setback, Yunche uses basic healing to recover and gets back on his feet, launching another attack at Qian, who easily counters. Qian taunts that his master has grown delicate and begins to press his blade down. When our hero attacks with a second blade, Chen stops it barehanded, claiming that betrayal is the only way someone truly grows. Struggling, our protagonist manages to free his first sword, but still finds it difficult to fight his former student. Curious, Chen asks if he's jealous of Kuo Wei, who has become the supreme king, while he himself turned traitor. With a final taunt, Chen hurls Yunche into the debris with tremendous force, dropping our boy's HP to just 42. Qian's excitement only grows at the thought of eliminating his master with his own hands. He offers a twisted mercy, suggesting Yunche kneel and become his pet, and demanding the secret of resurrection. To Qian's surprise, our hero rises, gripping his blades and admitting he should never have rescued Qian from the slave cage. At that moment, he levels up, restoring his status fully and stunning Qian. Meanwhile, the undead army continues farming monsters in the mirror world, steadily increasing our protagonist's experience. Activating Reverse. Acceleration Radiance. He boosts his unit's speed by 30%, then enables Reverse. Evil Possession to increase his stats even further. Drawing on every chanting class skill acquired from each dungeon, Yunche declares he doesn't need virtue when dealing with someone like Qian. He's determined to clean up the mess, whatever it takes. He launches attacks from every direction, but Qian just laughs, remarking that his master is wildly swinging two swords with no aim. As he strikes at our hero, Yunche vanishes, only to reappear behind his student and land a blow. Qian is stunned, remembering he destroyed all the mirrors, but then notices blood on the ground and realizes, too late, that any reflective surface can be used for travel. Quickly, Chen activates Blood Energy Gathering, convinced that now, with no reflective surfaces left, Yunche won't be able to escape. Suddenly, Ben stabs him from behind, and seizing the opportunity, our boy summons every single undead creature. Now, Chen finds himself completely surrounded, with no chance for escape.